You're watching Network Radio. Live from the Media Broadcasting Center.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Walking Your Talk. I'm your host, Mark Russell, and we are back. This is the first episode in a couple of weeks for myself, and I can't just imagine where the time's gone. 15th of December 2015, and it just is flying. We finally got the move done. Those that follow it all and have seen some of the other shows, I'm not in the dungeon anymore. Work that I get in the new office together, and it's so nice to be out of the basement and actually have a little bit of light around me. It's will even be better because I'm kind of by a window here, so I get to see the outside through the day and so forth, and I'm quite excited about it. And I've got a great new board up behind me that I get to start working away at and be able to show some of the presentations with, and keep my notes for the week and the rest of it. So you'll see that thing flying open here and there. The one thing I got to get used to a little bit is the other room I had from right to left, and now I'm center to right. So until I can get some cameras switched around and so forth, I got to kind of remember to look over this way while my board is this way. And that also affects the mice and all the rest of it. So I might have a couple of jittery moments here, getting things squared away and keeping an eye on and so forth. And it's amazing. I did my Living in Faith show on Sunday. I do the two shows because I do recognize the difference between people that would be interested in an overall different information, say, than just the gospel and so forth, and vice versa. So I did decide to separate them a little bit, but by no means does it negate the basis of where I come from or what I stand for whatsoever. I do believe we are in very short times. We're going to be in very desperate times to come. I think that's coming more and more prevalent. And as I was mentioning in a couple of posts through this week, I think now that matters are starting to affect people directly. I commented on one. I can't remember what the excuse me, the specific was, but I said that this has been going on forever. We've been reporting this, and other people have been saying it for 10 years. Where were you? It's not until it affected your actual backyard with this policy that you're standing up and saying something now. And I've kind of mentioned that on my older shows, Canada Nation and so forth, that people who just in the West just have it too good. They just will not wake up. They'll refuse to see anything because it's not right in their backyard. Somebody's not knocking on their doors, and so they turn the blind eye to it. And it's, if not now, too late. It's sure the heck going to be pretty soon, which I have a feeling still the great amount of the masses still are not anywhere near what it's going to take to make a significant change without an awful lot of problems. But you never know what the future holds. We don't know what this transition is going to look like. To me, we are in a transition. Humanity itself is in a transition. maybe I'm just at the age where, you're brought up in such an idealistic way with the home and the picket fence and Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver and uh, all the rest of the shows, and then you grow up with Archie Bunker and Al Bundy, and you kind of gone through the progression of things here. But we grew up with such a um, kind of environment of hope and aspirations and dreams, and you were able to reach for whatever. I can't imagine what the generations today are going through as far as the youngsters in their tens and so forth. Look at the way the schools are going and the news and the rest of it, and how parents today uh, can deal with this. I just don't know. Um, but that is the transition we're going through. We've been stripped in this society, um, especially the last 20 years, and it's what drove me to starting to look down the rabbit holes. And thank goodness for all the people that did the work and paid the sacrifice, really, with losing jobs and losing their lives and the hassles and the rest of it that has been taken on by them, um, just to be able to bring awareness. Well, they're called conspiracy theories and nutbags and tinfoil hats and absolutely everything. Um, I was watching quite a few of Hagman and Hagman and Steve Quayle this week, um, and these guys have been in things for 25, 30 years before we had any idea of all of these um, veils that we've been living under. And I just had to take a minute and recognize these people. And I hope while you're going through your journey, you can stop for a minute and recognize just what these people have gone through and what they've sacrificed in their life, um, to awaken and try to attempt to have a, a better society or to make a difference. So, but regardless, that is the transition we're going through. And I think between uh, what's been going on, especially through Obama's time, has just been horrendous. I'm quite conflicted with, oh, not really. Between the 9/11 and so forth, I do believe we have so many false flags now, and it's going to just accelerate like crazy. I'm not even paying attention to them anymore, other than the surface go of it, because I do feel they're a solid distraction to keep people away from staying on a path that's actually going to affect something. You go from 9/11 to Sandy Hook to the Boston bombing to Paris and um, now the one in the States, and now uh, today it's LA that shut down, all the schools shut down, affecting 640,000 students. Um, like, this is going to just keep on going and going and going. And then in the meantime, their agenda behind them is just rolling over all of society. TTP is passed. Um, you're having different UN resolutions being passed. You're having more freedoms taken. You're having gun control trying to be shoved down. That's even for me almost a perfect example. What the heck are you doing talking about gun control for the people on the no-fly list? What happened to talking about the people on the no-fly list? What happened to going, this is absolutely ridiculous and ludicrous that some moron in some back room gets to put your name on something and you're restricted from going anywhere in the world? Like, what happened? Where has people lost all of their sight? And these are one of my fundamental goals in my comments or my comments in posting on our Media Broadcast Center page. It's, guys, we're being we're being duped, and the quicker that even the few percentile of us that are making a difference, and I really do see a lot more people picking things up. I'm seeing it in the research and the work that I do through different pastors and different churches and different sides of investigating things. You hear people talking about the New World Order now. You're hearing people talk about money now. You are seeing this effect coming around, and it's wonderful. But as that picks up, their agenda speeds up, and they also keep on doing the sleight of hand. So that gun control is almost a perfect example. Here they flavor everything with gun control. We're going to do this. We're going to now restrict people on the no-fly list from buying weapons. Well, wait a minute. It has nothing to do with gun control. You people have no right to tell us to put us on a no-fly list. Like, where has all the solid distractions of things gone, where you can actually talk about the point that matters? And I said it right along with when I attempted to do something with Canada the Nation about going, there's no remedy in all this crap. Why do you people keep on looking at the distraction part of it? Well, you're trying to fix a crappy dish by adding more salt in it instead of taking the cayenne pepper out of it. I don't get. It's kind of almost that simple. You know what? If you start putting your foundation where it's supposed to belong, and you build it right, the rest of the house will go up straight over it. You can keep on trying to patch the drywall and do everything else, and as long as you keep on having that foundation crumble underneath of it, you're going to just keep on having more holes, more angles, more drop, more unlevelness all the way through. And I don't care how good you're going to be in trying to fill these holes all the way around the house that you're trying to prop up, but sooner or later you're going to lose it. And people really have to start putting that message out just as well as waking them up to the overall that's going on. One, for me, is only a prelude to the other. And, you know, I really find that with trying to get into the scriptures and so forth. You know, everything's a little scratch on the surface. And then you have to read more. And you have to look further. And you have to connect deeper. And you've got to put the allegories together, and you've got to put the meanings together, and you'll have to reach in heart and mind to get somewhere with it. And this is going to be no different for our society and for us if we don't start looking at the fundamental problems. And yes, fine, pay attention to whatever subject there is. Of course we have to. We have to live. It just doesn't matter that way. But if you're not spending your time also saying, you know what, we don't want GMOs. We don't want ABC, unless you're prepared in the same breath and with the same amount of energy and the same equal time say we have to end our money system. We have to stop the Federal Reserve. We have to stop the Rothschilds, the Committee of 300, the whole gambit of everything. We as the people of the planet have to stand up and say enough, and we are seizing everything that exists on the planet as a fraud, and we are redistributing, we're reorganizing, and we're putting things back to right. Until that happens, there is no remedy, because you'll never change it. I don't care how much you say, how much you preach, how much you want different congressmen. I don't care what you want to say. You can turn around and have all of Congress You can end Washington, D.C. Vote in a whole new mass. Won't make one bit of difference. It won't change one single thing. Make a little difference for here or there. Some will suffer, some will benefit. Be a big distraction for 10, 20, 30 years. Sure. Will it be back 10 times worse? Absolutely. You're still working on the same basic fiat currency. You're working on the Fed. You're working under the same master controllers that are controlling everything. So why is it going to change anything? A little bit of good feel-good things? Maybe. What are you leaving your kids? And I do have these discussions with people. I don't have kids myself. And I'm quite almost at the point I'm glad I don't, because I can't also imagine what it's like seeing parents today with a young family, and they know what's coming and what they're going to have to suffer, seeing what's going to happen to their kids, because it is going to happen. So I'm at this point pretty glad I didn't. But what are you leaving them? And I don't have to have kids to worry about my fellow men, to worry about my neighbors, and to worry about what I'm leaving behind me. Because I do. So this is why I do what I do. And this is also why I'll keep on turning a new chapter all the time. I don't care how many new chapters I have. I hope my book is long and full and it's with 100 chapters. Because every time I learn something more, every time I have a bigger awakening, a next shift, a next go, I'm not sitting back here. I refuse to. I will open those doors. I'll walk through it. I'll keep pushing and I'll keep going until I can do the best things that I can do. And by the grace of God, I will listen and I will follow that path. And until there's a great number that do it, there's not an awful lot that's going to happen in this man-made realm. So in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of preparing. There better be a lot of awakening of what's going on. As it kind of says, and I paraphrase, my children perish for a lack of knowledge. So educate yourself. And one of the goals of this show, and one of the things for my stage of a new chapter was, as I've mentioned in the last couple, was the move up here, getting out of the city center, trying to separate between mammon and the total ways of this society. Start making those separations, start making those preparations, both in the physical aspect, but just as much in the heart space and the psychological end of knowing what's coming, and those that don't listen to you that are over there and decided to just call you the nutbag until the crap happens, and then they're going to wish they stayed in touch with you, or then they're going to be clamoring all over you and the rest of it. So prepare yourself. The psychological part and all the rest of it, and all of us will have different opportunities in the physical to try to adjust our course and try to adjust things. I spoke to a wonderful family on Sunday, and we were talking about different things, and they're up close to the area visiting parents that moved up to this area um, just 18 months or so ago. They're down in the Niagara Falls now, but they're up for the Christmas holidays visiting them. Young couple, newborn baby, the whole ticket. And, they're trying to get moved up here and they were waiting to see if he has a job. And, I was asked what my goal of things was and how I found the move. And I said, just do it. The Lord will take care of you and your needs where you want to go and where He directs you. Follow the path that's set in front of you. If everything is telling you to get out of where you are, be around your family and so forth, just get out. Don't work for everything to be perfect in your mind because that will never come to reality anyway, and it can always change in a moment. Get yourself up here and make your own gig. Don't wait to be hired for somebody else. He's a tradesman. He can put a shingle out on his truck and be working in no time. That will never change. And actually, it's absolutely 10 times better nowadays because we've got 2 or 3 generations that are too lazy, too stupid, and too irresponsible to do anything. And now that you've got that whole segment of generations that are older and buildings and homes and all the rest of it that need repair and need changing and need everything else, you got tons of communities out there that are clamoring for people that can work with their hands. Whether it's roofing, whether it's siding, whether it's all the stuff I do, whether it's carpentry, plumbing, electrical, anything. And 90% of that expands and has no boundary with the gender. Biggest thing I would do if I had daughters, I'd turn around and teach them to be a plumber or electrician. Lousy half-time, a bag of tools, and away you go making a living and being independent and not under somebody else's control. Maybe give it a thought. So I wanted to share a couple of the maybe headlines that I posted about this week. It's just to kind of keep base. This is our Facebook page on the for the Media Broadcast Center. One that was kind of disturbing for me was the Planned Parenthood. This case is going to court now. Of course, they being, as they call it, steam cooked. But of course, that's just a sensationalist headline. But they have been treating the fetuses and then just throwing them in landfills. The whole practice is disgusting enough, but that was pretty ridiculous. As I mentioned, the school closures earlier on. This was another one that actually touched me. If you're actually talking about now to keep on going about sharing just basic knowledge and so forth and keep this distractional crap going on. So all they're doing is starting to pass laws and putting gag orders on what that information and how that information gets out. So forget about actual just whistleblowers and things. Now just scientists or individuals or people with greater knowledge that investigate things and even come into evidence of further are going to have a gag order on it. So, that stuff happens. The normal other things, of course, Jim Fletcher's book is now also on Media Broadcast Center official blog, where that is actually going to service us to do an awful lot more news stories and so forth, and kind of be an extension of our Facebook page. A district attorney, everybody saw this one go viral with this officer that was just beating a woman. This is just insane that this guy wasn't arrested. by the other officers that came on site. These are some of the prime examples that I have a huge half of me that says there is no good cops because they're not standing up and arresting them. And I do feel that has to be stated in order to help push the other ones to stand up. But she's not servicing charges on them. So again, just no remedy in things. And Fukushima is still going on. Talk about the overall distraction with terrorism and everything else, and you've got a whole ocean and our whole North American West Coast being devastated, and you're not hearing anything about it anymore. Like, really? You're going to spend your 5, 10 hours, 20 hours a week chasing down ISIS and Paris being a false flag? Or do you spend your energy maybe on something that's actually going to be tangible? Like, really, like what is you discovering and going through hundreds of Paris is a false flag going to help fix the food supply, the ocean, and the planet being destroyed? Put it out, it's newsworthy, it's a draw in, everything else, absolutely. But again, if you're not following through with the topics and the ideal and the angles of things that actually matter, then, where is it going to go? Another one where you have an officer shoot somebody and then put another few more rounds into him as he's crawling around on the ground. Another unarmed person. Like, this is just getting crazy. And as I mentioned in this one, this was another one that where an officer did release a tape and got it out to light, and now he's facing prison. How can we expect these guys to stand up? Like, why within inside of this story isn't the whole town, the whole community, just firing the department? Fire the whole load of them. Get them out of there, and standing behind this guy. You cannot turn around and demand action and a performance of job, performance of honor, and everything else when you have none yourself. And maybe that's a big key to an awful lot of what's going on into our society. Who are you to demand behavior of anybody that you inherently don't have yourself? Maybe a good question to ask. I don't necessarily have an answer for it. Except for, I don't think I do, or at the very least, I will always try to inspire to be what I say. I'll try to get there. This officer that puts out something and goes after the people in his department, or breaks the blue code, absolutely. And I'd be doing it in a heartbeat. I have done it in a heartbeat, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. What about you? Do you whistle blow to your company? Or are you one of the maggots that live off of the suffering of all the rest of the people? Do you enjoy too much your job and what it brings into you instead of standing up and going, this is wrong. Look how much harm this company is doing out there, and refuse to work for it. This is what I was meaning, that we have an awful lot of tough choices. And I know a lot of people are in the situation, they can't just turn around and do that. But the fact is it even on your mind? It is on mine. And it's a bit of the check and balances that I try to have when I'm looking at things, which way to go with something. You're down to basic shopping and all the rest of it. Is it a need or a want? If I do this job, is it in the right moral aspects? Is this who I want to buy from, or is this who I want to get my supplies from? This is a big part of what I've spent the last 2 weeks since I've gotten up here, just at the beginning of the month, and I've got a season to open up next year. It gives me a little bit of time to try to make the connections and so forth. So I've dug out, instead of going to Rona and Home Depot and all the rest of it. I dug down and I found a little local mill guy, a family that's had a backyard mill for the last 2-3 generations. Things a little bit more there, absolutely. Can I use that in selling my jobs, saying this is what I'm using and this is who I buy my stuff from? And that's why I'm 2-3% higher than somebody else? I think so. Does it take a little bit more time and effort? Yeah. But not after that. So, there's tons of things that we can do. Everything doesn't have to be a big hard splash, but there's tons of small things that you can actually do that hopefully when people see you doing it, they'll follow you and it'll start making a difference. So I did get a couple things done here. Enough of the news storying type of go on anything. I did get a couple things done. I'll share a couple shots. My little before with the room space. I got the little mutt here too. Kind of gave me a little end, but I do get a window out there and so forth. So it's at least a little bit of space. The wall in front of me, that's kind of the little end of it. So that's my little side view right out to the right. But now we got the computers in and so forth. So that's kind of the after view. And I got a view right down kind of the whole driveway and across the front yard. Got that kind of put up a little bit together. A couple of my little things that I finally got to unpack. A couple of gifts from the thing and a couple of giftings from the Sundance that I was in, and I'm glad that I actually get to have them out and around me a little bit and share the space. That's kind of the view that I got out in the front yard, and the kind of the ATV sitting under the window because the porch is there, and that's what we use for. I got a blade on it for our snow removal instead of hiring somebody to come in and or having to go to a full-size truck with a blade to get it. We were able to get. I found a great attachment with the ATV. Took us a while to find it and so forth, but we did, and that'll suffice for our go. Um, Here's a cute little story for a second. Was the fish on the wall there was about 15 years ago. One of my hadn't fished since I was like about 6 years old, and that was the first time I'd put a line in the water. Uh, a friend took me out when I first got our previous cottage, and it was the first time I went out fishing in 20 years, and that was the fish that we got a pound and a half speckle, 20 inches, and at that time I just thought, okay, it's a thing, and then I got shared with how nice of a fish that is, and I kind of get to enjoy it out in front of me with some fond memories and so forth. So that's kind of the new living space. We've had a chance up here. The wife is kind of really enjoying it, where our neighbors just up the road north of us here. This is a stream that feeds down into a small lake that's between us and then feeds our stream that comes down. So we've had a couple of times, and again, we were really blessed that we were able to get this move done for this time of year. We should have 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow, and it should be into the minuses, and we're just still green. And it's actually even calling for it to be 12 degrees on Christmas Day here. So, some of the people are hurting for the snowmobile and the industry that's going on. The loggers are just having such a rough time. They should be cutting and having the skids in the back bush and being able to pull things out, and they just can't get anywhere right now. So that's kind of our little environment north of us. They got a great place. Their home is actually just literally, that's the picture from their deck. That the previous ones were just on the right-hand side of it. So this thing goes right around their home. Just a beautiful location and so forth. And it's nice to be able to get out into this environment and clear your head and kind of handle what's coming to you for the next go. So my plans for here on in with this new chapter is to really connect, just like I was mentioning with the mill. It's been fascinating that this town area here has 15, 20 churches, buildings, whatever you want to refer them to, different denominations and so forth. I'm going to be going to every one of them, other than there is a Jehovah's Witness here, and I think I'll pass on that one. But I'll be going to every one of them. I want to meet my community and the people in it, and be open to them and to share and exchange our ideas and our point of views, and to be able to connect these things, and these are opportunities for great discussions and so forth. I'll never belong to a building. We are the church. Us, the people, are the church, and not the bricks and mortars. And that whole industry needs to wake up, just like anything else does. So we have many challenges ahead of us, but we have the greatest power of all behind us if we only ask. So my next project from here, now that this is done, is getting a generator hooked into the house so that we're in an area where power is on and off and can be iffy through the winter, through any kind of season, really. Um, that's one of the minuses of going out to things, but is also one of the challenges and a little bit of fun too. So my challenge through this, and I'll keep the pictures and even a couple of little clips on getting a generator installed to your box through a transfer kit. And of course, Canada being so far behind, there's some great other devices and so forth, but our good old masters have determined that they're not legal here, which in most cases wouldn't really matter to me, other than now you carry great liabilities with things and so forth. And then also gives them an excuse to intrude on your life. So you have to be careful with battles that you pick and so forth. So it's just not worth it for that particular battle. So we're looking to do the full transfer switch and getting a generator hooked up to be able to continue to run emergency things and so forth. One of the things I'm really fascinated about learning through this, though, is because I'm planning the solar through the spring or through the summer, I want to be able to also precondition this hookup that it can go directly into the battery bank as well. And if we have a bad week with weather or storms or sunshine through the winter, that going to be able to top up the batteries off of the generator too. So that's kind of the next plan between now and the holidays. I'll take some videos of around and keep you up to date with that part of it. Until then, God bless. Try to be a little better tomorrow than you are today. Take care.